In the principles of observing the mind, there are 3 steps. Firstly, before observing, do not want to observe and then search for what state the mind is in. When most of us observe the mind, we go searching for it, sitting there. How is the mind now? Where is it? That's wrong. That's sitting with greed. Before observing the mind, don't go searching for it. Just let the feelings arise and then know what has arisen. So when happiness arises, know that the mind is happy. If there is unhappiness, then know that the mind is unhappy. If the mind is greedy, angry, or deluded, let the greed, anger, or delusion occur first, and then know afterwards. So the first principle of observing the mind is don't search, and don't try to observe. Let the feeling arise first, and then know that it has. That's the first step. Before observing, don't go searching. Let the feeling happen first, and then know that it has. The second step is, while observing, don't slip down to what you're watching, like dunking your head in a water well to see what's inside. Have we ever seen those wells in old Chinese movies? Round in shape with walls. If we look down inside and put our head down too far, we'll fall right into the well and can't get out. Observing the mind is the same. Don't lean down to look. Watch as an outsider at a distance. Like we're in a building and watching the cars drive by. We don't jump down into the street. If we are in the middle of the street, we won't be in a position to observe. We'll be busy dodging all the cars driving by. Let's not dodge the cars, but be in the building above and see the cars driving along. So this car drives by, this one passes the other one, like that. In observing the mind, our mind doesn't slip down into the phenomena, and we will see the phenomena like an outsider, like someone who isn't going to lose or gain from the situation. We will see clearly like being in a building where we can see the cars moving clearly. But if we're in the middle of the street, we won't know what we're seeing. Like in Chinatown. Is Chinatown still like that? I don't know. In the old days, it was quite a feat just to cross the road in Chinatown. The pathways were like a maze. There were so many directions, it was chaotic. Watch from a distance and do not slip down into the situation or phenomena that we're observing. Observe in such a way that we have nothing to gain or lose. Just relax like watching cars from a building, or watching a river from a shore, seeing the boats pass by, seeing the rafts, seeing dead dogs floating. We don't dive into the water. We stay ashore and we see everything move in and out, come and go. But if we've fallen into the water, then we will be moving along just like everything else. So if there's a rotting dog corpse and we're right next to it, and we move along with it, that dog will be a permanent fixture there with us. It won't come and go because we're coming and going with it. So let's not have the mind move along with phenomena. Have the mind withdraw from the phenomena and don't dive into them. So the first step is to let the state arise first and then know afterwards. Don't search for the phenomena. The second step is, while knowing, don't slip down to know. Watch as an outsider. The third step is, once we know the phenomenon, the mind will be pleased or displeased. Have the mindfulness that knows. So we know the phenomenon, and once we know it, let's not slip down into it. Then once we do not slip into it, there'll be a reaction in the mind. For example, we see one thing and we feel happy, see another and feel unhappy. We like one thing, we dislike another. Know what reaction occurs. Let the mind work. we will finally grasp the principle that we have to let the feelings come first and then know afterwards. This is the first step. Don't wait or anticipate, like holding a tension at the chest. Let's see what's going to arise now. What defilements is on its way? Nothing will come. It's like trying to catch a rabbit in a hole by holding a stick right over the hole. What rabbit is going to come up when it sees that? Nothing. So be unconcerned and at a distance, and the phenomena will pop out of the hole, just like the rabbit or the mouse. So let's practice in this way and don't posture to catch it. Once a phenomenon has popped up, then know it. Know as an outside observer, but don't deliberately try to move the mind elsewhere and then say, "Oh, I'm an outsider now." Some people project their minds up onto the roof and then watch from there. That's not correct. Observing as an outsider means observed in a relaxed way. When we're in the building and seeing the cars driving by, we're just seeing them as they are. That's already an outsider. No need to project out onto the roof and now think, "Okay, now I am an observer, nice and far." That's not right. There's too much intention in that. Once we are observing, reactions will occur. Have the mindfulness that sees those reactions impartially. So if we are pleased, then know so, or displeased, then know so. We'll see anger arise, and because we are practitioners, when anger arises, we don't like anger, then we know we don't like it. Or a wholesome state arises. "Oh, today my mind is so peaceful and relaxed and bright. I have such great mindfulness." And the mind likes it, is satisfied. Know that the mind is satisfied. That's the third step in observing the mind. First, don't posture to watch. Let the feeling come first, and then know afterwards. Second step, while knowing, don't slip down to know. Just know as an outsider. And third, once we know, then we become pleased or displeased, we know so. We don't become pleased and then get totally entranced by it, or become displeased and then try to fix it. We just know impartially. That's the third step, knowing impartially, not pleased or displeased. The way to do that is to know the mind that isn't impartial, knowing when the mind is pleased and knowing when the mind is displeased. If we practice in this way, it means we truly know how to observe the mind. We will see each type of mind that arises also falls. The happy mind arises and falls. The unhappy mind arises and falls. A good mind arises and falls. Bad mind arises and falls. And one day wisdom will occur. It will know that each type of mind arises and falls. Once we see that, we will know that the mind is not us. If it were us, then it must be permanent. It must be something that lasts. But it isn't immortal. It arises and falls very quickly, again and again. Once we see that the mind understands the truth, it will let go of what it is knowing. Like if we are observing the mind may enter a deep state of meditation and walk the path of wisdom deep within for 2 or 3 moments. That's all. And then it releases the mind and moves upstream to the mind element. Once it's at the knowing element, the asavas, the taints that imprison the mind, will disperse and dissolve. The knowing element that is completely pure will present itself. Some of the masters talk about the mind that is immortal. That is just their rhetoric. The truth is, it is an immortal element. The element, the consciousness element, is not the knower mind. The knower mind still arises and falls. This is an immortal Dhamma.